So you're like Ted Lasso before Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Marshall, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to have a conversation with you today on the podcast. To start off, do you want to give us an elevator pitch of what's been going on, who you are, let our audience know all of the good stuff?
So first off, it's awesome being here. I've been looking forward to this. Regarding the elevator pitch, I don't like elevator pitches. However, so for your audience, I have a question for the audience. Are they familiar with Ted Lasso?
I'm hoping so. I am.
You are. So I would say I don't like the elevator pitch because I want it to become natural when I meet people. I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I'm like the Ted Lasso for them. So I help them believe more in themselves. I used to be in BNI, and I used to stand up every week and I used to say, I help small business owners and entrepreneurs build a business that works so they don't have to. Although that is somewhat true, it's a little bit scripted and not natural.
And difficult to follow through on because the entrepreneur plays a huge role in making things happen.
110%.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're like Ted Lasso before Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So the idea of today's podcast is basically we want to have a conversation about business, about the people you deal with, the entrepreneurs that you meet with, chat with every day. And I want to kind of understand what it is that is a common factor in maybe, entrepreneurs falling short of their potential. What's one of the traits in entrepreneurs that you work with that's a necessity in your opinion for any sort of success, long or short term?
I'm going to go back to the Ted Lasso reference. I think, and I know this from I'm aging myself here, over 35 years, it's actually much more than that, but not much more, in running multiple businesses. Small business owners far, far too often being the player and not the coach. And what I mean by that is they end up having that employee mindset and they get stuck in the business, focusing on all the daily activities, the admin, the invoicing, the client work, everything, and not enough on the business, working too much in, not on. If your audience, if your listeners, viewers could take one thing from this, I don't care where you're at in your business, what stage you're at in your business, you could be brand new, plan for becoming more of the coach, plan for becoming more of the leader. And that's what I mean by coach. Leading your business, having the vision, building a team around you. It might not be right away. Don't get stuck being the employee.
This is a great point, and it's been brought up in so many different podcasts. And as a business owner myself, I feel like this is possible, or it gets easier after a certain stage in your business. But I know that a lot of our listeners are just starting out or they're solopreneurs. And how do you reckon someone who's a solopreneur do this more efficiently and focus more on working on the business as opposed to working in the business?
I would just turn it around and just put the lens on you. Look at what you've done, right? Build a team. Here's what I see a problem, especially since the pandemic. So many people, let's say, were digital marketers. They worked for XYZ corporation.
Yeah.
They were COVIDed out of a job, or they had a come to Jesus moment and it's like, I'm leaving, I'm starting my own business, I'm going to be a digital marketer on my own. And what happens is they're an employee in their own business. Why did you start your own business?
I've always wanted to do it since I was 8 or 10. I'm a huge fan of Monopoly.
Why not work for someone else?
I did work for quite a bit, and I don't know, it just seemed like the right path. Buying your time back or having the freedom to do things that you want to when you want to do them, I guess. And at least to a certain extent.
Well, and that's the problem. A lot of people do that, and then they have less freedom. They're working for less money.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And at the beginning, I get it. So if you're just starting out, just know that it's, as they say, it takes a village. So whether you don't have to have employees right away. You can just build your team of subcontractors. Just bring people into your inner circle.
Right.
Coaches, mentors, accountability partners, other entrepreneurs. Go to networking events that have other entrepreneurs that just want to support each other. Keep the eye on the bigger vision. If it's freedom is why you started, make sure that you never lose that. I'm all about the why and the what,
Right.
as you know, right? So really get clear of why you're doing your business and don't forget it.
What are the top 3 reasons that other entrepreneurs have chosen to get into entrepreneurship?
Well, first of all, okay, entrepreneurs. So there's difference. Not all small business owners or business owners are entrepreneurs. Not all entrepreneurs are business owners.
Okay. Why don't we start with the definition of that? What is the difference?
I think we all know what a small business owner is, or a business owner. You own a business. You could own and I'm not downplaying this.
Sure.
You could be a candle maker.
Yeah.
You're right. It could be a hobby, or it could be a real legitimate full-time business, and you're making all these candles and you're selling them. There are a lot of employees who are entrepreneurial, who are entrepreneurs, and eventually they will probably end up doing something on their own.
Right.
But they're not a business owner. So an entrepreneur is someone who thinking about business, thinking about the vision, constantly wanting to build. Real true entrepreneurs don't usually stay in business too long, honestly. They start a business, they build it, they sell it, they move on to something else. They get bored,
Right.
right? It's what like the entrepreneurial ADD. As a business owner, small, medium, large is maybe a little bit different. You do have to have an entrepreneurial spirit, but you need to harness it to a certain point. If you get bored too quickly, you might give up too quickly or move on too quickly. So really it's getting clear on so I talked about the why, getting clear on, I call the what, and that's the vision.
Right.
What do you really want to build? What do you want to create? Do you want to become the #1 digital marketing agency in North America or Canada?
Right.
Or the world, the monopoly? Do you want to become the Amazon of digital marketing?
What are the 3 most common reasons that you hear from people in business wanting to start a business?
#1's always freedom.
Right.
Okay. Part of freedom, they're just tired of working for someone else, making money for someone else. I was always entrepreneurial. Had a lawn cutting business, glorified as a landscaping business when I was 16.
Right.
So I was always entrepreneurial. And I think people start businesses for that freedom to be able to do what they want when they want it. Not necessarily time freedom,
Sure.
but just the ability, I guess it is a little bit of time freedom, not having more time, but be able to do what they want rather than having to answer to someone else.
Right.
So I think that's #1. #2 probably is just they don't want to work for someone else.
Do you think that's from a freedom perspective, the not wanting to work for somebody else, or is that like I can't take orders from somebody else, or I am so bound to my vision that I cannot align with somebody else's vision?
That as well.
Do you think that makes somebody a bad team player?
No.
Okay.
No. If you as the entrepreneur and the business owner, see I said and, 2 different things. If you have people on your team that don't buy into your vision and they're not being a team player, that's a different story.
Right.
Then they should maybe go either to another company who has that same vision or do their own thing. But to finish answering your question, I think it's freedom. I think 1, 2, 3. I think it's time freedom. I think it's financial freedom or the ability. It's the hope. It's the great American dream and Canadian dream, North American dream, to be able to just build something. And so I would say it's really the 1, 2, 3 is freedom, freedom, freedom. But honestly, when you're working for someone else, I mean, as business owners, entrepreneurs, we are all pretty much salespeople. We are self-employed. When you work for someone else, you're reliant on them.
Right.
And you can only do so much. And they can get rid of you at any time.
That was going to be my next question. So, because we have a lot of listeners that are in the early stages of their business, what do you reckon are the 3 most important skills a business owner must have?
That's a great question. Leadership.
Okay. Leadership.
Leadership.
Sure.
Leadership.
So 1, 2, and 3 are all leadership.
Well, I'll expand. I would say belief.
Okay.
So I would say, I call it a leader's mindset.
Sure.
So the leader's mindset is one of, I can't do it alone. I need to build a team.
Okay.
Okay. So I would say that, #1. I would say #2, the belief that you and your team, so the belief in yourself, #1, 100%, and the belief in your team. That's also leadership.
Sure.
If you don't believe in your team, you're not a good leader, or you have the wrong team. So you need to believe in your team. And the third, take freaking action.
Okay.
Like
So proactivity.
proactivity, Again, it's leadership. Accountability, okay, but that's all part of sort of the leader's mindset.
Sure.
Taking accountability and not blaming the economy, not blaming the government, not blaming this, right?
Very solid answer as well.
Yeah.
If I were to answer that, I think the only thing I would add is
Yep.
maybe sales to it. I do feel like every business owner needs to have a certain amount of sales skill.
Okay.
And I think that also kind of bleeds into the whole leadership mindset, right? Like if you can't sell what you're offering, then you're not confident enough in the service or in the ability.
But it all comes back to belief.
Absolutely, which is why I said it's kind of an extension
Yeah.
of what you said, yeah.
So, I mean, there are a lot, look, and you're in the marketing industry, right? There's a lot of nonsense out there,
Yeah,
especially in the coaching and the marketing. Like and there are a lot of coaches who are just marketers. They're horrible coaches. They call themselves a coach. They have a program that they say, give me $20,000, I'll help you build a 7-8 figure. But it used to be 6 or 7 figure. Now
it's 8 figure.
7-8 figure. It's gonna be 9 figure. I don't even know what that is. In 60 days or whatever. And they've never done it themselves, but they get the money and whatever. And they have a system, right? So I think if you believe in what your business does, that's sales. It's not about sales. I know what you're saying about the skill. Belief goes a long way.
Yeah.
Right? And building, you might not be the salesperson for your business if you don't like the cold calling, and
Right.
we can talk about all that kind of stuff and the actual actions. If you don't like to see those action steps and cold calling people, I'm not saying cold calling is a thing or a good thing. Lead generation, bring someone on your team who could do it. But you are the face of the business. And you need to believe in it, and you need to be very service oriented. This is my belief. This is the stern truth.
Walk us through, the 35 years of experience straight from Marshall Stern. I want to understand more about the failures than the success. Yeah.
I'm going to give some good failures.
Awesome.
Okay. So for everyone listening, grab a pad of paper or your laptop or whatever. This is the first business lesson I ever learned on building a team. I was 16. Okay. I worked with my grandfather. He had a wholesale business in Winnipeg. I was there for 4 days. Thank God it was a long weekend. I started with my cousin, it was our grandfather, and the place was not air conditioned. It was an old heritage building. It was like 35 degrees in Winnipeg. It was so hot in there, it was disgusting. I was alone on 2 floors of this warehouse. It was my first real job, and I hated it. I walked into his office on a Friday, right? Thursday, because Friday was the holiday. Thank God it was a long weekend. And I quit. Couldn't do it. I hated it. Hated working for people. I didn't want to be there. It was the summertime.
And what was the company? Like, what did they do?
It was like back in the day, it was like a wholesale clothing.
Okay.
So they would they would supply clothes, sell clothes to, there was a bunch of Mennonites in Manitoba.
Sure.
And Hutterites and the villages and whatever.
Right.
And to stores too. Clothing and dry goods, they called it.
Right.
Next spring, I said, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
This, working for someone, is not for me. And I started a lawn cutting business. Okay. Blade Lawn Care. If we can't cut it, nobody can. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. That is pretty
If we
good.
can't cut it, nobody can. And it was myself. And I did it all summer. I had like 20 lawns or whatever I had. It was good. I enjoyed it. I made some good money. I was my boss. Freedom. The next year, I started. So I was 18, just turning 18 or just turned 18. I don't want to be doing this, but I have my clients. I had it all set up. I started to do it. I called up one of my friends. I said, David, you're not working right now. Do you want to come work for me? He said, sure. Gave him all my clients. I gave him a cut. I went out to the lake, to the cabin, and I enjoyed my summer while he ran the business.
Nice.
And I took less money, but I enjoyed my summer. Call me lazy, call me smart. I don't know. It's for your audience to...
Working on the business, not in the business, right?
Right. So that was that. That was a success for me. So I was able to enjoy my freedom. Less financial freedom, but more time freedom. So fast forward, went to university, went to college, all that kind of stuff. I started, this is a failure, get ready. I decided in May. So I finished, this was BCIT, or I think it was, and I decided I'm going to start a t-shirt company for the summer. And it was environmental t-shirts, like cartoons with little, I still have each design. I spent $1,000, that was the minimum order, 250 shirts I ordered, okay? This is May, the spring. And they each had a different, one of them said, this is really gross actually. It was a cartoon, a caricature of a guy on a toilet, right? It was funny. And it said, why not recycle all waste? It was all environmentally friendly shirts, right?
What year is this?
I was ahead of my game, or ahead of the time. 1991.
You're selling environmental merchandise
Yeah.
in 1991,
Yeah.
way before anybody else.
I had an idea.
Okay.
Okay. This is the entrepreneurial part of me. I had an idea for, and I never did anything with it. I still think it's awesome. So if someone's out there, go do it. I'm not an engineer. It's not my thing. I had an idea of an add-on to a muffler. This was in 1991. This was 1990. I had an add-on to a muffler, just slide onto the muffler, and it would, maybe they have this in California, I don't know. Totally reduce all the emissions.
Okay.
Maybe they have that. It was just, you just buy it, you slide it on. Never did anything with it. Thought I would do this. So it was funny. It was a funny thing and
Sure.
about saving the environment.
Right.
Problem was, the failures. Number one, the shirts I had made, well, first of all, I did zero market research. And that came to realization quick. The shirts I made were 50-50, poly cotton.
Polycot. Sure.
The men's small probably would have fit a toddler. Like they were really small. I sold one. I went around first to all the stores, all the retail stores on Robson Street here in Vancouver, and I got so many no's. And one lady was very nice and said, just so you know, you missed the buying season by like 6 months or whatever it was back then, 7 months. The buying season's in the winter for the spring. Zero research. That was a huge failure, but a learning. Big learning for me. I did zero research and I spent $1,000. I lost $1,000 minus one shirt that I sold. Ask me where I sold it.
Family?
No, I set up in Vancouver. There's something called the Vancouver Swap Meet on Main Street, on Terminal, I mean. It's still there. And I set up a booth for 2 days. It cost me $9 a day. And I stood there for the 3 or 4 hours that it was open, and I sold it to a German tourist. One shirt for $7. And I was so excited.
You think those shirts would sell better today with meme culture so prevalent,
Possibly,
right?
possibly.
So you were just ahead of your time.
I was ahead of my time, but I did zero research.
Yeah.
So if I had done it, if I knew done my research, I would have gotten 100% cotton. I would have gone waited. I would have done the following year. I would have knocked on doors in November or whatever the season was.
I'm actually curious. So you started selling T-shirts that had an environmental message to it. Was the driving force anything to do with how you thought about the environment, where we were heading at the time, or was it just?
This was me, a typical capitalistic, entrepreneurial. I'm being totally honest with you.
No, I appreciate the honesty as well.
No one was talking about the environment back then.
Right.
I mean, it was just sort of starting to get out. We weren't composting. You know, California had their issues, so they had the emissions control and whatnot. But it wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly don't even remember where the idea came from. But I knew I didn't want to work for someone, so I did my own thing.
Okay.
Then I ended up through school. I ended up working at a corporate job. I was in sales. Did that for 3 years, 4 years, part-time through school, and then continued on. And that's when I just said, I'm done. I have to stop. I got to do my own thing. So the truth is, I went to school for advertising.
Okay.
You don't know this about me. I was a huge, back in the day, your listeners are probably too young, probably don't even know the show, 30-something. It was like the Mad Men of the 80s.
I actually don't know it. Yeah.
No, but it was all about, like Mad Men, it was all
Sure.
about advertising. It wasn't as, actually.
Is it the same theme as Mad Men? Like?
Yeah, but it was set.
Early-
It was set in the 80s as
Okay.
opposed to set in the 60s, 50s, 60s.
Sure, yeah.
But it was an ad agency.
Okay.
And I fell in love with it, and I wanted to be an ad guy. So I applied to all the ad agencies in 1991 when I graduated. No one would hire. We were in a recession. No one was hiring. So I stayed in this other job for a while, and then I decided.
What were you selling?
Lottery. I worked for BC Lottery Corporation.
Oh, nice.
So the
Okay.
head office, which used to be in Vancouver. It was a great organization, great company, loved it there, but I wasn't into climbing the corporate ladder. I tried and it just wasn't for me. So I left and I started my own sign and graphics company. I thought it was kind of related to advertising, so on and so forth.
Sure.
But here's another lesson I learned. And this is actually taught by my first employee. It was probably the third or fourth day. I opened up, had everything there, zero clients. I pounded the pavement. I used my father-in-law. He went around and handed out flyers. This is Yellow Pages was the whole thing. It's the only way people knew you was like print advertising, and the Yellow Pages hadn't come out yet. So started getting some clients and started to make one of the signs. And my employee Max said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm making the sign." He goes, no. This is what he taught me. No. And he'd been in the industry for 25 years. And I'll never forget it. He said, "You boss, me worker. Me build signs." He just talked in like short language, right?
Sure.
Short. Me build signs, you sell. You sell signs, me build. You sell, me build. And that was the last time I was at that table building a sign.
Wow, early lesson, eh?
Early lesson.
Yeah. How old were you when you started the sign business?
So that was 1994.
That's the year I'm born, by the way. I think you know this about me.
Great,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah, great. Appreciate that. Yeah, so 1994. So I was, how old? 27.
27, okay. That's awesome, yeah. 27 was about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about the same age when I started
Yeah.
the business as well.
But there were many mistakes I made there too.
Okay.
And I'll just make a couple quick ones. But you have to learn, and you have to make mistakes to learn from the mistakes in some cases. But I will give one piece of advice. I'm going to probably give a lot more, but one for sure. And I'm not an accountant or bookkeeper. I was fired. I did my books for the first year, and my accountant fired me. He says, "We're getting you a bookkeeper." Don't be ignorant about the numbers.
Yeah.
It's more comfortable in the moment to be ignorant about the numbers and just, it'll be okay, it'll be okay, it'll be okay. But if you think that way, it will not be okay. I can guarantee it.
Yeah.
If you're ignorant about the numbers, if you don't think about cash flow, you don't think about if you have staff, payroll or rent or paying your vendors or whatever, if you just think it'll be okay. Don't judge your business by your bank account, ever.
Yeah. That's actually, that's a very solid way to put it. I feel like there's two types of ignorances when it comes to finances or your books. One kind is where the business owner just does not make entries into the books, or you don't have updated books.
Yes.
Just because you're so anxious about looking at it, or I don't know, or you don't have the time, or whatever the excuses are, right? And the other kind is, and I'm guilty of doing this from time to time, you find vanity KPIs to sort of look at your books and go like, yeah, this isn't so great, but I'm doing really good here. Or yeah, my cash flow isn't great, but at least I'm making profits at the end. Whereas I feel like someone professionally managing and keeping up on your books is a great way to ensure that both of these things don't really happen, because it's important for your business to have a good picture of, where you are financially today, as well as where you're going to be in 30 days or 6 months or a year from now. Yeah, very solid point.
But here's the thing. It depends on how serious you are. If you want to build a business, because there's a lot of people out there and that's totally fine. If you just want to have a part-time business, if you have a job and this is sort of a side hustle, or you have kids and you're just doing this as a side hustle or something, which is totally fine. That's cool. Love it. One of my clients actually, in one of my podcast episodes, referred to, she wants to become a mature business owner. And I love that. If you want to be a mature business owner, a serious business owner, build a serious business, you cannot ignore the numbers.
Yeah.
And so you need to surround yourself with people who can help you with that. And trust me, I know this from my own experience. You look at bank accounts like, oh, I have $10,000 in my bank account, or I have $10,000 in my line of credit available. I'm okay. What you forgot, I'm okay for payroll, let's say. What you forgot is here in Canada, even in the US, I have taxes remittance that's coming out on a certain date. I have payroll remittance coming out on a certain date.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, holy crap, it's out, and you look at your bank account and you can't make payroll. Because sometimes with payroll, if you don't make payroll, it's not good. Employees don't like that. But what's worse, honestly, is when you don't pay your taxes, you are not only penalized, like it's not good for your credit. You have to pay taxes.
You're 27, you've started your sign company now. How long does it take you to actually start to enjoy the business as such? And by that I mean, it can be different for different people, right? Like enjoyment, for my first positive feeling from the business was landing my first client. That was one major milestone for me. And then I think the end of our first financial year we had like a revenue mark of, I believe, 60,000 Canadian dollars. At the time when I started my business, I was making about $70,000 at a corporate job, and I equaled that amount in revenue at my business. So that was a big deal for me. How's the journey over the first 5 years or so?
I remember the first month I did 10,000.
Okay. And at the time, 10,000 was a lot.
So I got the systems, which I never used. I hardly used them. This is the entrepreneur in me. I always was pushing against what I was told to do.
Right.
The systems that they put in place. 10,000 was a lot for a new location. And that was so when I did that and I knew what my break-even point was and if I could do that consistently, that was the first one. Landing jobs, just big projects. Like we used to have the Molson Indy here in Vancouver.
Yes.
So I didn't do all of it, but I did one small part of it, which was massive for me. It was like 3 months of work. I had my production, up until I sold, which was 2 years ago, he was with me for 26 years.
Wow.
One of my production guys, designers, was with me for 17 years. Another person for 15 years. I don't know if I'm sort of going on a side of this, but these are all the highlights. Just building a team. It was a serious business. My graphic designer, my lead guy, during the Olympics, like 2010, leading up to it, for the month leading up to it, slept at the shop because he lived in Abbotsford and my office was in Yaletown. He had a little cot, a little bed, and he would sleep at the shop. And he'd do the little fake shower with his deodorant or whatever. Not for a month straight. He'd go home on the weekends. But like seriously, many days during the week, instead of the commute, he would just sleep there because we were so busy. He got so much overtime. We needed it.
Yeah.
But it was exciting. It was an exciting time. Landing those big jobs was awesome.
When you first hired these team members back in 95, 96, whenever you first did you actually know that they would stick around for 17 years, 25 years?
No.
Like,
I wasn't.
Like, what was the mentality going into that hiring process?
Okay, we're being honest. I had a 5-year plan.
Right.
That was my 5-year plan for this business.
Okay.
I was going to start it, build it, sell it, do something else.
Okay.
I was there for 29 years. So no, I didn't think that they were going to be with me for that. I didn't think I was going to be with me there for that long. Okay.
But do you reckon it's a good idea to get into business with a 5-year plan even today?
That's a great question. That brings up the whole idea of a business plan. So I like a 3-year plan.
Okay.
It depends on where you're at in life too. Like a 5-year plan for someone at my age, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, 5 years, who knows what. But it is true. Like 5 years out for you is different than 5 years out for me. I mean, 5 years to 3 years, not a huge difference. I remember taking a program years ago, a coaching program, a really good one. And they wanted you to have a 20-year, what they call it, big, hairy, audacious goal.
Okay.
And plan.
Was this before COVID or after COVID?
This is way before.
This is before COVID,
yeah.
right? That makes sense.
But 20 years, ridiculous for your business, okay? For your life, for sure,
Right.
okay? But for your business, 20 years. I like a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
But let's talk about business plan. If you need a plan, unless you want to go for funding, you don't need a nicely bound, fancy business plan with projections and with all the stuff that's just going to sit on your computer and collect dust or on your bookshelf and collect dust. You need a plan that you're going to implement and that you're going to review consistently. Otherwise, there's no point.
So Coala Studio has been in existence 5.5 years now. When we first started out, we were offering a set of services, both project and retainer. And if I were to compare what we are today versus what we were 5.5 years ago, there's obviously a lot of difference, right? And there's been constant evolution over time. How often do you reckon your people you work with or entrepreneurs that you talk to, how often do you think they review this business plan that they'd originally created? And how often is it tweaked and in what direction? And what impacts that direction that they take the most?
For those who do have a plan, I don't think it's reviewed at all. If they end up working with someone like myself or another coach, then yes, it'll be reviewed. But again, it's all about, the more complicated anything is, the less likely you will be to take any action with it. Right. It could just simply be a 1-page, spreadsheets are different, okay? Like financial projections, that's totally different. I'm all like 100% you need to have something. But you need to know, like, I go back to the what. Like, what do you want in 3 years? Completely, okay? Just come up with the vision of where you want, not just your business, but your life. And build a business that serves your life. That's what I believe, okay? Some people can go and buy let's say, a junk removal company. It's not a sexy industry. They just want to become the biggest junk removal company in North America or in the world. Okay, that's great. And if you read his book, WTF, great book, it's all about him building a team.
Yes.
And he couldn't do it alone.
Nowhere close to where
Nowhere
he,
close.
yeah, he wouldn't be anywhere close without it.
It's all about the team. But it's about the vision and bringing people on your team who buy into your vision. Business plan, whatever it is, it's always, if it's 5 years or 3 years, in 1 year, you should revisit it more frequently, but in 1 year, it's now out, you move it out another year. So it's always that 3 years. You always have to be navigating.
Yeah.
And that's leadership. Always be prepared. We know things happen, and things will happen sometimes that we're not expecting. The more you can expect and predict, the better, but no one would have predicted the pandemic. Quick story, if I may.
Of course.
It doesn't have to be your passion, but be passionate about what you do. So I was bored in my business. 2008, 2009, yes, everything down south went south. The crash of 2008 didn't really affect us in Canada that much. My business,
Yeah.
I didn't see it that much. I started to see it after the Olympics, right? Because we had sort of a false sense of security here in British Columbia, at least,
Right.
with the Olympics. So once February 12th, 2010 happened, which was the opening ceremonies, that was it. Like, we were at our peak, and then it was like quiet, so quiet.
Yeah.
Not just here, but like everywhere. Once the Olympics were over, everyone, for a while it was really quiet. And the economy started to suffer. We started to feel the 2008. Anyways, so after a few years, I'll make it short. After a few years, I thought, I need to pivot, navigate, change my sign company. We were all things to everyone. Businesses, we were always dealing primarily 99% of the time with businesses. And I decided I'm going to be the Brian Scudamore and have this new vision, change everything. And I had my own little painted picture. My business was no longer going to be known for everything. It was now going to be known, because I left the franchise back in 2005 and I went out on my own.
Right.
Okay. So, because I was a rebel. Although my sales were like number one in Canada at the time, they probably were happy I left. I decided I wanted to become known, our company was going to be known for interior, like environmental signage. So
Sure.
for office interiors,
Yep.
wall murals, wall wraps, privacy film. I found that sexy. I found that so exciting, and it just energized me.
Wait, I just want to rewind for a second. You found that sexy.
It was sexy. It was sexy. That's what I was in the industry. I know.
And I feel that's really important. If you're in business, you're
Yeah.
doing something, you need to be attracted to it. Like, even if you're not super passionate
Yeah.
about it, when you go out and you tell people about it, I feel like there should be the sense of pride that comes from within. Like, hey man, this is what I do, and I really like doing
What we do is sexy.
it. Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. So I think everyone has to have their own version of sexy, right? At least they feel it, right? Because a lot of the stuff we were doing, our number one client, well, we did a lot in the film industry, which is also sexy,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't sexy work, but it was exciting. We did all these, the slates. So for the camera department. So, the
Yes.
right? Take one, take two. We became known. That was one thing. We became known in all of Vancouver. We were the ones who designed these really cool graphics for them. So it wasn't just a black on white or whatever. So we did 90% of the productions, TV and film that came through Vancouver or British Columbia, we did. It wasn't a big moneymaker, but it was exciting.
Right.
And the team loved it. But most of the other stuff we did was just basic. Like, property managers were number one for us. So we did like parking signs, right? Like this morning where I parking, park here, reserved, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Nothing exciting about it, nothing sexy. So I decided I wanted to get away from that. And they were our biggest repeat, biggest revenue client as well. All the property managers. We were like we dealt with a lot of the big firms in the city. And we wanted to become known now for office interiors.
Right.
I connected, I did a campaign, lead gen, I did it myself with interior designers, commercial interior designers. We went hard on it. I had a whole brochure made up, office murals, mantras on the walls, privacy film, all that kind of stuff. And we were going to get rid of property managers eventually and focus on this. And I had plans to redesign our showroom and bring in and samples and everything. It was going to be big. It was going to be beautiful. It excited me. It was sexy. That was 2019 when I implemented everything.
Wow.
We know what happened. 2020 comes along. Thank God I didn't get rid of my property managers, because that entire industry that I was going after that was so sexy was gone.
Yeah.
My property managers, that's when I fell in love with my business again. I thought I fell in love with the vision of the sexiness of all the stuff.
Yep.
I fell in love with it again when the pandemic happened, and all of a sudden our property managers on the residential side, commercial no, because they were shut down at the beginning. They needed our help. They needed to protect the lobbies. They need the plexiglass stuff. They need decals all over the place. On the elevators, stay 2 people per elevator, or whatever it was, or 3 people, 6 feet apart.
Lots of opportunity for signage and stickers, yeah.
We went from our worst month ever at that point, almost 20 years, 17 years, or whatever it was, 19 years. Like April was our worst month ever.
April 2020.
April 2020 to our best month ever. Just like that, overnight. And then it went back to kind of normal, somewhat normalcy after that. I was passionate about it because we were actually really saving lives.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't doctors, but we were helping.
Contributing, yeah.
Contributing, right? We were
absolutely.
And we were always a service that had to be open.
Yeah.
So just be prepared to navigate and pivot quickly, because you just don't know. And if you're like some people, there were like liquor spirit companies that were
with sanitizers. Yeah. Sanitizers and wipes. Yeah. You mentioned something very interesting earlier, and like just for context, one of the reasons that I've always enjoyed working with you and having a conversation with you is because, unlike a lot of coaches out there, or just in general, unlike a lot of people out there, you value family and personal life just as much as you do business, right? The ups and downs of business eventually, in some way, form or the other, trickle down into my personal life as well, right? You mentioned worst month in business financially after a period of 20 years, right? How does one stay sane in a period like that?
In all honesty, that worst month, I'll go back to other worst months. Because that worst month ever, in all of the 29 years in that business, that was probably April 2020 was probably my calmest month ever. It's weird. March 13th or whatever it was to mid-April, the world was shut down.
Yep.
What could we do? Now, I just want to go somewhere else for a second, because this is also something I want people to take from this. Take care of your people, your employees. Take care of and of course, your significant other.
Yep.
Take care of your people. So the world shut down, businesses shut down, and my wife, I love her, said, you have to let everyone go. Everyone was doing that. You can't pay them. You have to let them go because we have no idea what's going to go on. I kept saying, 2 weeks. That's what the health minister says. 2 weeks. Remember that time? It'll be 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks. We'll see. Well, in 2 weeks. I knew something was coming on the wage subsidy, eventually.
Yeah.
I couldn't let my people go. They'd been with me for so long. They had families. They were loyal to me. I needed to be loyal to them. I knew it was going to get better. This was temporary. So I stuck with it. We didn't shut down ever. And then we basically redid like our entire showroom. We designed it, whatever. I kept them busy. And then everything opened up again.
Right.
And in fact, I'll take it one step further. This is where you, as the leader of your business, need to really think down the road into the vision. Short term, even. Like short term meaning 6 months, a year. A year back, I was looking for someone up front, an in-house salesperson, because my person had left, gone back to school. I couldn't find anyone with experience. I didn't want to train someone from start to finish. It was too much, too many things to learn. I want someone with experience. Couldn't find anyone, so I just did double work at the time. Pandemic happened, fine. In August, actually, I got an application from this one person. She had experience. She was laid off because of COVID. Just like a lot of companies, I brought her in for an interview and I hired her. I didn't need her at the time. Sales were probably 50% of what they normally were, but I knew things were going to turn around.
Yeah.
So I took a leap of faith. Let's be real. This business thing is hard. So you need to do your best, whether it's with your friends or your significant other or kids and or all of the above, your family. Do your best to try to not bring it home with you. But if you have a bad month or you're in a financial difficulty, bring someone to help you, because your significant other or friends might not be.
Yeah.
It's lonely.
It definitely is lonely.
So that's why I run groups. I run coaching groups, group coaching programs. I run like once a month, just a networking thing, which is free. Just hang around with other entrepreneurs, people who are ideally people who are maybe one step ahead of you,
Right.
or similar, and you can just talk, and then they get it, and they might be able to give you some advice. My wife didn't get it. She thought she started working in my company later on, after about 20 years of me
Right.
being in the business, right? Because she had her own career, and then she had kids. Before that, she always thought that I was like this pushover of a boss. She came from the banking world where it's like this, very, they don't do their job, they're gone, right? Strict, very strict structure, policy. And we were a family. My team, we were a family. So connect with your people, okay? But surround yourself with people who can support you. It's mindset. It's not easy. It's not easy. I had shitty months early on. I had people that didn't pay me. Here's another thing, another tip, like for business owners, with the whole email, because everything is now, everything's at our fingertips. It's so easy just to respond. It's so easy to a client, to a prospect, to an employee. It's so easy just to message back. And then your focus is taken away from what you're actually really trying to do.
Yeah.
So block the time for that kind of work. Don't be like a slave. Don't treat your text box or inbox as your agenda.
Correct.
It's someone else's agenda.
Yeah. Speaking of habits, what are some of the good habits that make an entrepreneur or business owner do better than the average lot?
Yeah, you can talk about like the 5 a.m. club, okay? That's it, get up, 5 a.m., exercise, journal, exercise, all that kind of stuff, meditate. Here is the thing, it's gonna be different for everyone. And that's the problem with most programs out there, most books out there, they teach you one way.
Right.
Okay? Discipline. It does take discipline, but what discipline is for you might be a little bit different for me. Okay? So you might be a late night person, I might be a morning person. So if you're a late night person, why should you follow the 5 a.m. club rule? So I would say habit-wise, do what works for you. Number one, proactive work, what I call the on-it work, what's really going to move the needle for your business.
Yeah.
Get it done. That's a priority. Get it done in your most focused hour. I would say the habits, consistency, number one. The right consistency.
Right.
But being intentional. So being intentional on the right actions and being consistent. So I would say like take consistent daily action towards what you say you want. You know, play a sport, go hiking, but be consistent with all of it and work on your mindset. For people who have kids, young kids, not necessarily older, but like, yeah, young kids, like under 10, under 12.
They need your attention all the
They're
time.
going to be
Yeah.
needing your attention. It's like having a dog, right? The dog's going to be wanting to go for a walk, wanting to go outside. Kids want to play, especially summertime.
Right.
Kids are going to want your attention more. So it's all about doing what works for you and being consistent. And that's really, I would say that's it. I mean, one system doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
And the problem is with all these online experts is they make you feel like shit. When you love what you do, here's the problem. This is really the challenge. I don't think of it as work.
Yeah.
So my wife's always saying, you're working so much.
But it doesn't. I
I
like what I'm doing. Yeah.
if I could talk to people all day long, I would. I'm usually told by the people around me if I'm starting to burn out. They could see it, right? They could see it in my mood. I remember taking my son. He was late for baseball practice once, It was baseball practice. He was 10 years old. 10 years old, baseball practice. It wasn't a game, and he was late. And my wife says I have anxiety about being late. This wasn't me being late, it was him. I guess so. I guess I have it. It was nuts. And it was practice. And I had to pull over, and I had to like I probably made dents in my steering wheel. And my son was with me, and then I saw how it affected him. It was a low point. Like I had to pull over and say, like, what's my problem? It's just a practice. But I wouldn't have gotten to that point if I had seen the signs and I had sort of meditated, taken a break. I was getting burnt out at the time. I mean, this is 10 years ago. I have to constantly work at it.
I was actually just telling my wife this yesterday. She actually sat me down after dinner and she's like, hey, I want to talk to you. And she actually asked me this really nice question. And she's like, when I first met you, you were somebody, like one of the things that attracted me towards you the most was the fact that you keep your surroundings like super clean. Like you were one of the only guys I know who cares about how his apartment looks. I just like my surroundings clean, and even today that's how it is. But off late, like about a month or so, I really haven't had the time to focus on any of these things. And it's not that I don't want to, it's just that the ebbs and flows of business have kept me occupied to a degree where everything else, including my surroundings, have become secondary to me at this point. And she's at me now and she's like, I'm just checking in. Is everything okay in your life? Because I can start to see that the one thing that you care about so much isn't really happening. So I guess other people do see the stress or the anxiety kind of building up in words, actions, or habits around you.
Yeah, if you're showing up out of character, out of your normal character, for sure. And you have to, the key is to listen to it.
Yeah.
I remember when I started coaching, it was a leadership coaching program. I started to forget about my other business. I stopped being a leader for that, and I stopped being a leader for my family. I was so involved in what I was doing. I loved it so much that I remember several occasions my wife said to me, I remember back in the day, you call yourself a leadership coach, and yet you don't seem to be like leading this family.
Yeah.
In some form, she mentioned that. And I said, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, because you're stuck in your thing, right? And then after a while, it's like, okay, I started to see it, but I didn't want to listen at the time. Because love is blind. So I fell in love with this other thing. I was having an affair with my leadership coaching business, and I forgot what was really important, because that was the new thing. That was the shiny object.
There's so many coaches out there, right? Like on the internet. I don't know if I can name them, but sure. Dan Locke's one of them. How do you compare to someone like a Dan Locke, and how are you different, and why would someone choose to work with you as opposed to working with someone who's like pitching a 7 to 8 figure system as such?
Yeah, there's lots. Dan Locke, there's Grant Cardone, 10X Your Business, right? Tony Robbins.
Andy Elliott.
They're all there, right? There's millions, there's like thousands, hundreds of thousands of coaches. What I would say is, first of all, you're not going to work with them. That's the first thing. You're not working with them. It was a 30-day program. So about 10 years ago, 8 years ago, because coaches, if you're going to coach, you have to have a coach.
Right.
Right? Not all the time, but you need a coach. So I hired a Tony Robbins coach. They gave me someone. She was nice. I let her go after 6 months.
Yep.
Because it was Tony Robbins in a disguise. And I needed someone who I could relate to and who could relate to me. And it was always like, well, Tony says this, Tony says that, Tony says this, Tony says that. You need to buy his program, this, whatever. It was very scripted. And every session just opened up with, she would ask me how I'm doing. I'm saying, fine. I would ask her how she was doing, and she was like, every time she would say, I am super duper fantastic. And one day I just got so fed up. I said, really? She goes, what do you mean? What? And I said, are you really super duper fantastic? And she didn't know what to say. Probably completely change all of our businesses and ourselves, himself, if you can afford to have Tony Robbins as a coach. But we can't. Not all of us can. I meet my clients where they're at. Everyone's different. Everyone has different challenges. If I'm not a fit for someone and they might not be a fit for me. It has to go both ways. And there has to be this relationship. There has to be something there. Because it's not like, take my course, you'll be fine. This is like real time. This is you and me going through a journey to get you on a path to where you want to get to. There are a lot of amazing coaches out there. So interview coaches, if you're looking for one, interview them, talk to them, see what's the right fit. And not one system fits all. So I don't have a system, I have a framework.
That's pretty solid, yeah.
I have a methodology, I have a way of, right? But the way I might coach you, it's similar to the way I coach someone else, but in different ways, in different steps. And each time something else comes up that's differently, we might go different. We might go in a different place.
Thank you so much for being here today. And this was awesome, man. That's what I've got.
No, I appreciate it. No, I could keep going, but I know time's up. So no, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
Same here.